month that your name just changed, and yet everything behind you is Wallace.
Yes, I know. I was talking to my mom about this last night, actually, that I was doing this podcast, and I was like, the background of the desk is Wallace. It's like Wallace threw
Everywhere.
up everywhere, and
Everywhere.
it
Yeah.
looks like I am a college basketball player, like retired.
Yeah, surprise. This is actually all about your basketball career. We're going to be talking about that today. You
Okay.
said it was your brother and his spouse were both basketball players?
Yes, yes, they both were. They're both very tall. Their 8-month baby is half my height. So,
I wasn't sure where that sentence was going, but wow. Wow. That's
yeah,
incredible.
kind of embarrassing for me, but
No, it's okay. That's okay. Hey everybody, I am Nick Moores, Head of Developer Relations here at Workday, and I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by the amazing E.E. Jones, extraordinary outbound product manager for Workday Orchestrate. For those who've been following our journey, you know how long we have been waiting to be able to talk about this moment. Today, it is finally here. Orchestrate is generally available. EE is awesome. Yes, it's amazing. It's awesome to have you. Now that it's officially open to our customers, I would love everyone to get to know you, to get to know Orchestrate a little bit better. So let's dive in.
my name's E.E. Jones. Like Nick said, I'm the product manager for Orchestrate, one of the many here at Workday. And just to give a little background around my history at Workday, I've been with the company for just over 7 years. I started as an integration consultant implementing at our customers. And actually, what got me into this role and excited about this role was I was part of the early adopter program for Orchestrate.
You were
So
on
I
the other side.
implemented,
Yeah.
yes, yes, I was.
Whoa.
And it was one of the very first implementations of Orchestrate. So there was no learning content really out there. We were still figuring out how we can use Orchestrate to build integrations for our customers. And actually, Orchestrate had been available for 2 years leading up to this. So this was back in 2023.
Mm.
But its primary function, as you know, Nick, was more for that event based, real time type of
Yeah.
pattern.
In extend apps, or like you could invoke it as its own thing. Like we kind of had this sweet spot that it was sitting in where if you needed something real time, or you needed a page to kick off a process, or even kick off a process that might take forever in a BP or something, that was as big as that got at the time. But I remember those days fondly. We were watching every new feature drop, like, oh my gosh, we can loop, we can do things in loops, we can log stuff, and now that feels like a million years ago.
I know, it really does. And there was always, these rumblings that we'd be getting this new exciting integration tooling. And I was so excited about it because I actually come from a background, not really of development, but I did end up learning Studio as one of my favorite tools. But I jumped all over this opportunity to build at one of our largest customers. And we ended up doing a little bit of a non conventional pattern with Orchestrate since it was that event based type of tool. We were like, let's just use it for like a document transformation. And so, yeah, this was 2023. I knew nothing about the tool. We had 5 integrations in production 6 months later. So,
Wow.
that made me very excited about the future of integrations and just in general where this would go. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, very fortunate, very happy to be in this position today, getting to work with awesome people like you, Nick, and our team here on the outbound side.
Yeah, I'm so thankful you're here too. And it's funny you put it that way. I've been open with folks before that I too, out of college, was like, I really want to be a developer, and saw this integration developer job. So yeah, I immediately cut my teeth on core connectors and EIB and like trying to figure out XSLT. And then I remember being so excited to take like the studio training so I could like get to the good stuff. It was like one thing to have connectors where, like, if something went wrong, you didn't just get like a like boring error message. It was something about, okay, there's all these components doing things. And I remember getting to use Studio at the time, like, oh, That's the thing. I've seen that before. It's an async mediation or a sync mediation or whatever, and I just felt like I had just like uncovered the secret to how all
Yeah.
integration stuff worked, and it has
Right.
been thrilling to see like that whole arc too.
Yeah, totally. It's been awesome to see the evolution of how we integrate change so much.
Mm,
Even in my first, 6.5 years of consulting, getting to know the patterns that were more traditional versus how are we changing the game as far as improving integrations for our customers, and Orchestrate is absolutely the tool that will get us to the next level of system synchronization
mm.
with all the things that I'm sure we'll talk about here today.
Yeah, I
Um,
was just gonna
yeah.
say more about that because like if you like joined Tony's and my extend calls like years ago, and at the time, Orchestrate did a very specific thing. It was doing those synchronous patterns or those asynchronous patterns. Eventually, we got like the BP triggered one, and you just like checked out. You saw that, you thought that's great. I need to focus on this other stuff I'm doing, and you just clued back in. Like, what would you say? Like, how do you help people understand now why Orchestrate, why it's such a big deal? How is it different from what it was 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, so we've expanded a lot around a couple of different elements or themes for integrating. Two of the main themes that we're actually focusing on is unlocking new patterns with integrations. So think about, if you are a studio developer today, there are limitations as far as throwing a studio integration on a business process. Whereas, if you need that event based real time type of pattern, or with Orchestrate, that BP triggered type of orchestration you can build, you can put that on a business process. There aren't as many guardrails around limitations around how frequently those can run, because the idea of those really is to have that real time connection with external systems. So it's not adhering to like integration framework limitations, which is amazing.
When we say
Uh,
that, that's like the existing legacy framework and some of the constraints that are baked in there.
right. And there's pros and cons to that too. With an integration event, you get to store documents, you get to add integration messages, things like that. You can
Mm,
schedule those integrations. But with the BP trigger type of orchestration, you you actually get you don't get an event necessarily, so you can't store files, you can't have integration messages. You can do things similar to those, and that's another thing we're really focusing on. Another theme that we're investing in is observability.
mm,
So how can we bring in more than just a developer into
yeah.
the integration lifecycle? Because especially, you know, business processes are typically managed by like a business process administrator, maybe more of like a functional
That checks out. Yeah,
persona.
yeah.
Yeah. So how can we bring performance of integrations into the tenant? How can
Mm.
we expose that on the developer site? Uh, we have some exciting new features slated to come out next year for
Ooh.
observability, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just stuff that we have not ever had before. And I feel like it's been over the last 2 years really a huge transformation as far as integrations go, and the experience our customers have building them, observing them, maintaining them, all the things. So very excited to see the pace that we're innovating.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you mentioned the last couple of years. So that EA you were part of, you said that was 2023?
Yes, started February 2023.
Okay. And then as I recall, we had I believe our limited GA early last year, which feels like yesterday and like 10 years ago at the
I
same time.
know.
And
Time
so to
flies.
like, yeah, it really does. And then to hear Jonathan Boyne, JB, if you hear me say that, that's who I mean. The same one who's been like putting this all together over the course of several years. God bless him. Him getting to say at Rising this year, Orchestrate is generally available. Like hearing the applause in that room was a big
Goosebumps.
deal. Yeah, for real. We've all been so excited to be able to say that for so long. I was wondering from your perspective, why is that such a big deal to customers? Like, why is, I remember, so I will say in a developer audience, I do remember people standing up and clapping for like MVEL in Studio having multi-line expressions, which is the nerdiest thing ever. You're making it easier for me to write like my code snippets. This was on a different level, right? This was a wide swath of folks in that product strategy and vision session being
Yeah.
visibly very excited. So I guess help us understand, why is that so exciting?
So there's a lot of value you get with using Orchestrate now. And I think one of the biggest values that we're going to see is bringing this like unified experience to developers with the whole Workday build narrative, our
Mm,
platform having a name, which is so exciting.
yes.
This will get developers foot in the door to be able to build stuff that is already familiar to them. A lot of integration, every Workday customer has integrations in some capacity.
Every single customer. Yeah,
Every
we love to
single
say it.
customer. Now, Orchestrate is more positioned to take the place of building custom integration. So this is where they would go to build anything that requires customization.
Mm,
But getting their foot into the door in the developer site just opens up so many possibilities for allowing their organization to have better user experiences, with extend apps, with integration apps. It can help with their developer experience with a lower code environment
yeah.
to allow for a quicker development. That's the third theme that our product team has been focused on as far as, defining features to help accelerate development. That is absolutely top of mind for us. And this tool allows for that. So you just see a lot quicker time to value for business requirements
Yeah.
to be actually coming to fruition. And this is all made possible with our developer platform. And, as far as the ramp time to actually learn the tool, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, my own experience, I knew nothing. February 2023, we had 5 integrations that I built 6 months later with very little content out there.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 years, your team, Nick, specifically, has been amazing at creating content, tutorials, putting together videos, the DPUC. We have so much out there to support our integration developers now, which is something we also haven't necessarily had this level of support before. So,
Yeah.
exciting new product, awesome developer community out there, and really just honing in on those skills. But it allows developers to build more faster, but it also democratizes development. Where we had a customer actually speak at DevCon who was a more functional resource at her company, and we were talking to them really just about their use cases. And I assumed she was a developer, and she wasn't. She was on the functional side, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm not intimidated by Orchestrate. It's intuitive. I understand how it works. I can understand the workflow on the canvas," which I think is just awesome and just speaks volumes about the quality of the product and it, the type of persona that can build and understand what's going on.
That's a big, big deal. I mean, just yesterday we were talking with one of our developer MVPs who come in all sorts of flavors, right? Integrations folks, extend folks, what have you. And something the person said was that they feel like sometimes they're masquerading as a developer. They're like, I know Workday really well, and I have like this skew toward the more technical side of stuff. And that anything we do around low code, and I would put Orchestrate in this bucket, is
100%.
huge because they can prototype so much more quickly for
Mm-hmm.
customers. This person was a customer, is now a partner delivering value to our customers, which is awesome. And then, yeah, just the same thing they said was like, this is not intimidating. I want to double click on what you said about the developer site, right? So we have this place where you can build apps. And for the longest time, it was an extend only thing. We didn't even have like a name for extend app. And then it was like, hey, what if we just let anybody build integrations? And we had to introduce this concept of an integration app.
Mm-hmm.
And the really cool thing about that is like, oh, we love our extend customers. We want to make more of them all the time. But like, what if any Workday customer could access the developer site? What if any Workday customer could build integrations with Orchestrate and be part of our developer community? And it's amazing to think that technically that's possible
Yeah,
today. Everybody, if
it
you haven't
is.
yet, you should click the thing. What do they have to do? If you're listening to this right now and you're like, wait, what? I can access this today? Like, what? Walk us through it. What do you need to do to access Orchestrate?
Yeah, really, it's very simple. I have a post out on the developer forum in
Nice.
case you want to watch me go through it live.
Sure.
It's a
Always.
treat
Yeah.
of listening to me again go through it, but the steps are really easy. It depends on your contract type with Workday,
Mm.
whether or not you need to do the first step. But it's if you do have to do the first step, it's simply a checkbox in the tenant, and then after that, all the steps are the same regardless of the contract type. It's a task that is available in implementation and production tenants. So if you are in flight on an implementation, new Workday customer, you don't have a production tenant yet, you're able to do this in an implementation tenant, but it is a task in your tenant. Maintain Workday build for Orchestrate for integrations, and you fill out just a couple of fields. It's like the administrator name, so
Mm.
first and last name, email address. That's it. And as soon as you hit submit, the your developer site instance gets created, and whoever you configure as that contact will get an email to log into the developer site, and you can start building your apps. So very, very easy, 3 or 4 steps, and you, with a snap of a finger, have your developer site ready for building.
That's great. That's amazing. Like we're trying to double this ecosystem. I'm not being shy about that. That is like a stated thing we want to
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
And even our leaders, like Peter Bayless, our CTO, put it, like we have been a walled garden in a walled garden. And I'm going to mix the metaphor and say that like Orchestrate is like a sledgehammer, or what, I don't know, a really gnarly set of shears, I guess, just like blowing that down. Like
Mhm.
it has been so locked down to build these really amazing things, and I think Orchestrate is like the ultimate gateway to all of Workday build. And I think it was honestly very cool, and probably, I think, technically serendipitous, but just honestly very cool that we got to announce build and Orchestrate in the same day, same session, just
Yeah.
about. And to say it again, you said it very well earlier. Like build is our developer platform, and people ask all the time, like, "Well, do I have build? Do I need to buy build?" It's like, well, actually, yes, you are build. It's happening right now around you. Like it's our
It's
community, it's
there.
our marketplace, it's the tool set, and I think Orchestrate encompasses all those things extremely well. It is the tool that gets you in the door, gets you building apps, gets you on the developer site, gets you on the forum. Like you have these amazing like learning posts on there that you just kind of wrote out of the kindness of your heart, and they kick butt and take names. You can just see them immediately. But like Orchestrate gets you that, it gets you the community all out of the gate.
Yes. Yeah. I'm assuming you're referring to my quick start
I
for
am. I am.
integrations.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like hardcore, man. It's not like something you did in 2 seconds. It's
No,
very thorough.
a little more than 2 seconds, but yes, that is a great place to start if you are new to this. It's
Mm-hmm.
out on the developer forum. All you have to do is search Quick Start for integrations, and you can listen to me again for 7 different videos.
Ta-da! Yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah, spoiler alert, you're probably listening to one of us talk about it, but it'll be okay.
They're actually pretty short, luckily. I think the longest one is 15 minutes, maybe. So that again goes to show how quickly you can pick this up. The components are pretty intuitive. Once you understand how Orchestrate works, it's less of a learning curve to learn new features and understand how to use the tool. So highly recommend those. And then I know CJ on your team has built some awesome tutorials for Extend and Orchestrate.
Yeah.
So a lot of content out there, resources to check out.
Yeah, and more coming all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned the learning curve. I want to ask. So if you are a customer listening and maybe you have signed up and you're like, well, you know what? That's cool, but I'm super into Studio today. This is like what I know. It's my bread and butter. And honestly, like you mentioned, like guilty, like I am a Studio developer. Like I still can honestly close my eyes and think of problems in terms of like the mediations and the message going back and forth. So like,
So
how do you help that person see why orchestrate, like why it's worth the switching cost,
yeah.
even if it's a lower lift in a vacuum?
Yeah, and I'll give a little bit of personal experience as well. I was a studio guru. I loved it. I was a little bit hesitant. I was excited for a new tool with Orchestrate. I heard a lot about it, but I was a little hesitant too. The thing that actually got me to really love Orchestrate was understanding that I don't have to do that heavy lifting. Orchestrate does all of that hard stuff for you. You don't have to explicitly build out this complex XSLT to manage high volume integrations.
Yeah,
Orchestrate's smart enough, the product is smart enough to know how to best allocate resources and manage the data that's being processed. And to me, I find that incredibly valuable because
mm.
I don't know about you guys listening, if you have built a studio integration where you've had to optimize your XSLT 3.0 code and you're up all night trying to figure that out. Yeah, guilty.
Yeah,
Those are the nights, it's very rewarding once you get to the end of it, but it can take a long time and it can be
sure.
very
It's
frustrating.
like, man, I just figured out XLT2, and now I got to figure out
And
how
now
to do
there's
this in 3. I don't know if I ever fully got there, full disclosure, like where I internalized it. So I am thrilled that this platform takes care of that for me. There are many ways in
hundreds.
which I believe it streams the data by default or just by
Does
design, which is
yes,
super dope. I know it's a
yep.
professional way to put it, but like
It
that stuff's hard. Like it's hard to
is.
do that in a performant way and not mess it up. It can take a bit to get used to, but once you're used to it, it's doing so much of that heavy lifting for you, and certainly for
Oh,
like large volumes and large enterprise kind of transactions. The numbers
right.
that we get from the team of like, oh yeah, we just casually process this many records, this many events, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and that's something that we are heavily focusing on currently
Mm.
because like I said at the beginning, Orchestrate was the inception of it was this event-based types of patterns, but
Which we do need
one
too.
of the
Yeah.
right. But we want to one of our major goals is to have Orchestrate cover 100% of integration
Mm.
patterns, which we all know not everything can be event based,
Yeah.
BP triggered, those types of patterns. We recognize there still are systems that require file based transactions and uh,
Woohoo. Yeah.
transmission. Yeah, ingesting a CSV file
That's
did
real life. Yeah.
real life. We recognize it and we're addressing it. So, a lot of awesome runtime improvement announcements coming early next year. Orchestrate can handle a lot right now, but we want it to handle everything. We're really focused on that because right now, current moment, 20-minute runtime with some caveats, I will say, but we want to increase that, blow that completely out of the water next year. So
It's amazing.
really, really excited for
Yeah.
all the stuff coming next year to be able to handle all your integration patterns across the board.
Heck yeah. I think DevCon 26 is going to be pretty amazing, especially for Workday Orchestrate. Growing the ecosystem, growing the use cases for Orchestrate. Surprise, they're all kind of Orchestrate use cases. EE, thank you. And if there's like one more takeaway you want for people to know that are looking to get into this, like what's the one thing you want people to take away?
One thing to take away, use Orchestrate for all your integrations going forward. It's generally available, anyone can use it, and it just allows for you to have a consistent tool set for all your integrations. So, and if you come across any situation where you're finding Orchestrate doesn't handle it, please, please post that on the forum. We would
Yeah.
love to hear about it. Give us the feedback. And yeah, thanks so much for having me. So excited. Hopefully, I can be back on the show at some point.
Yeah.
I've had a lot
Heck
of fun
yeah.
with
I
you.
would love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. EE Jones, you are an amazing advocate for the tool, for our community. You're helping make it possible for so many people to get into Orchestrate and to love it. Thank you for everything you do. And to the broader product team, we mention you by name so many times because you've been in the trenches with us. You get what it's like to be a developer. I like to say that extend developers, even them, they're secretly integration developers. That's where so many of us cut our teeth. So Orchestrate
Yep.
just like crosses all of that so beautifully. So thank you. And I will say thank you for joining us on DevTalk. I'm Nick Moores. If you enjoyed what you heard today, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And remember, you can find our entire catalog at workday.com/podcasts.